So, a continuing theme. Sorry, I'm feeding rabbits. A continuing theme of why I would prefer an Old Testament church. Another example. So, Eli's son, 1 Samuel. Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas, wicked. Eli spent his time ministering to the nation of Israel, but did not discipline and train up his children in the way they should go. So Hophni and Phinehas, wicked before the Lord. So much so that God said, this is the end. I have promised a priesthood out of these people, out of your family, out of your line, but I'm done. These two are off the chain. So they're going to die. They go into battle. Hophni and Phinehas die. They come back and tell Eli. Eli falls off the chair and is dead. Eli did not train up his children in the ways they should go. And the word of the Lord through that family, through that ministry, was shut down. But there's another character in this story. Hannah prayed for a son, and that son was Samuel. And Hannah told the Lord, if you would give me a son, give me a child, I'll dedicate him to you. I'll give him to the ministry. I'll give him unto you, the Lord. She did. Nursed that child for 3 years, nursed Samuel for 3 years, and then took him to the church, took him to the temple, and gave him to Eli. Eli trained Samuel up in the ways of the Lord, but didn't train his own sons. And Samuel grew up to become the man of God that Samuel ended up being before the Lord. This is the one that anointed Saul, and this is the one that anointed David. This is Samuel. And all the things that Eli was able to put into Samuel. Not just Eli, but Hannah. She had him for the first 3 years. Remember, Jochebed had Moses for the first 3 years of his life. Those moms were able to instill in those children in the first 3 years of their life the foundation, the groundwork that they needed to be the men of God that they were for the rest of their lives. But Samuel didn't train up his sons. He followed what he was taught by Eli. He didn't train up his sons in the way they should go. And his sons were wicked. Even though Moses was trained up under Egyptian theology and in an Egyptian heathen environment, the 3 years that Jochebed had with him sustained him to be the man that God had called him to be. Same with Samuel. Hannah's 3 years gave him the foundation that Eli would build upon. Quick story. I grew up in a church. Nobody wanted to keep the nursery. Nobody. So they went out and they hired nice ladies, lost ladies, heathen ladies. And they kept all the children up to 3, 4 years old in the nursery. That church hired heathen, or the best case scenario, volunteers from the church who really didn't want to do it anyway, who weren't training up the children in the first 3 years of their life. They were just babysitting them. What are we doing? Why are we letting these most precious years, as parents of deaf children, we know that if you don't get language into a child in the first couple of years of their life, it could be lost forever. We know language has to be trained into a child in the first couple few years of their life. That's why we're so big with our children of pouring language into them. That's just language. What about all the other aspects of the things of God that have to come into them in the first few years, or it's lost? We want to blame it on contemporary music and contemporary services and skinny jeans and moosed hair, and those are all, this redneck talking. Those are problems. The perpetuation of the dad is the lead pastor, and all the sons and daughters and are all in the ministry, and everybody is following lead and hoping someday to get their own church as they move up the staircase up to lead pastor. The nepotism of the ministry, problems, huge problems. But the biggest problem is we are not training up our children. And that's the primary responsibility of parents. And as a parent, I think I have incoming. Yes. Amen. Well, amen. Time to feed some rabbits.